say a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, I've taken well over 40,000 pictures, so I guess that makes me a blabbermouth. I'm here today to share some of the basic elements of photography and what comes from photography with you today. With the proliferation of smartphones and tablets, there are literally billions of potential photographers out in the world today, many of which just point and click and take the picture. But with a little change of style, you can probably increase your pleasure with your pictures many times over. My hope is to share some basic knowledge with you today about photography and things that go along with photography. For instance, I'll share with you types of cameras people use, I'll share with you basic composition skills, and I'll share with you places to share your photography, because frankly, what's the point of taking up all that memory on your cards, taking pictures, if you're not going to show them to anyone? We'll start with the types of cameras. There are film cameras, there are digital zoom cameras, which are the small compact ones, there are cell phones, there are tablets, and there are DSLRs, not to mention there's medium format cameras. All of these can be useful in doing photography, and they all have drawbacks as well. For instance, many of these are price inhibitive to your average person, such as a quality DSLR. Medium format cameras are dozens of thousands of dollars usually, so that's not something that people are going to casually purchase. Then you got your smartphones and your digital zooms, where sometimes the sensor is just not big or powerful enough to get the full effect of what you want to photograph. Thankfully, a lot of camera manufacturers run a lot of software on these cameras to make up for what the hardware limitations are. But any tool can be useful with enough practice and planning, so even if you have a lowly 5 megapixel cell phone camera, you can take fairly nice pictures. But I wouldn't recommend that you go and buy a 5 megapixel camera phone for that purpose. So now that we talked a little bit about the types of cameras, let's move on to the composition part of photography. Many people, and I've observed them, they just keep the camera on auto, whatever it is, and just press the button and take the picture. Which is nice, it's convenient. However, there's no camera yet that can compose a picture for you, because this is where your eyes come into play. You have to know what you want to photograph and how you want to photograph it, and those are the basics of composition. One of the most basic rules of photography composition is called the rule of thirds, in which whatever you're viewing, whether it's a camera phone screen, DSLR screen, or what have you, is divided into a tic-tac-toe pattern of 9 equal-sized boxes. The rule of thirds is that you either keep the focus of the picture in the middle third of the 9 boxes, whether you're going horizontal or vertical. So basically, a plus sign is where the main focus of your picture is supposed to be. However, I call it the suggestion of thirds simply because a lot of times things look a little different if you don't put it center in the picture. A lot of times, if you're taking a picture of, say, a mountain, the mountain can be more majestic if it's not dead center of the picture. So, rule of thirds is something that you learn for basics, but when you really want to do creative photography, you kind of got to be willing to put that aside. Another important tip is leading the subject of your photography, which is where you're taking a picture of something and there's too much space in front of whatever you're taking the picture of. Especially if it's a moving object like a car, a person, or an animal, you want to make sure that there's enough space between them and the edge of the frame, but not too much that it looks like you are slow trying to catch up to them. So we covered a little bit about photographic composition. Let's move on to sharing, which is kind of the juiciest part and the most rewarding because you want to share. There are many places to share your photography. Now, I consider Facebook and Instagram to be valid places to share your photography, but there are certain limitations to what they allow you to do with your pictures besides people liking them and what have you. I like sites like Viewbug, which is a photographer's site, so you upload your pictures, other photographers rate your photography, you can even enter contests and win prizes like actual cameras or camera gear in different categories of photography. If you're feeling really bold, you can always put your pictures on Etsy to sell them. I've only sold 2 pictures on Etsy so far, but that's 2 more pictures than I would have sold if I would have just kept my pictures on Instagram. So I'm very proud of that. I find that people love a good story, and photography tells a story in the simplest way possible, which is just what you see. So we discussed camera types, we discussed composition, and we discussed photo sharing. I believe we're all potential photographers because, as I was saying, human beings are very visual creatures, and we use our sense of sight more than all our other senses, all things being equal. And in fact, in some cases, we probably use them more than most of our other senses combined. And we're natural storytellers. So it's, to me, the connection between photography and telling stories is so intertwined that it's almost impossible to pull them apart, because we use our eyes, and when you use your camera, you're using your eyes. It's basically an extension of your eye to show the world what you see at that point in time. I also find photography to be therapeutic for me, and it's a cheap vacation. When you go to a park and just take pictures, it's like whatever you were doing prior to that doesn't matter. I love DSLRs personally. That's my camera of choice, and I own more than one because sometimes you want to do a different type of photography. I hope that you'll share your vision of the world with the world via the camera, and hopefully you'll do it with the auto setting turned off. Thank you.